They told him to leave, but they had no idea who they were talking to. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, like this video, and drop where you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. It was supposed to be a proud, unforgettable day, crisp uniforms, beaming families, and the kind of ceremony that marks a new chapter in a soldier's life. But just as the national anthem faded and the crowd settled, two security officers stepped into the aisle and approached a seated man with silent urgency. "Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave." Heads turned. The buzz of quiet excitement turned into whispers of confusion. The man they were speaking to, a broad, barrel-chested black Marine in full-dress blues, didn't so much as blink. His posture remained unshaken, but his jaw set like iron. His son, not 20 feet away in a fresh Navy uniform, froze mid-step, caught between pride and disbelief. Who tells a Marine, a father, that he doesn't belong at his own son's graduation? You could feel the shift in the air. Discomfort rippled through the audience. A few seats back, 4 men slowly rose. No fuss, no words, just presence. But their silence said everything. They were Navy SEALs, decorated, respected, lethal. And judging by the looks on their faces, they weren't about to let this slide. What happened next would ripple across the entire base by sundown. Sergeant Marcus Carter wasn't just a guest. He was a legend among those who knew the weight of real service. 20 years in, deserts, jungles, forward operating bases. He'd missed birthdays, holidays, funerals. He bore scars no one saw and wounds that still ached with the change in weather. But none of that mattered today. Today, he was just a father, showing up early, sitting in the back, trying not to be noticed. He was used to the stares, the unspoken tension that came with being the only black man in the room with more medals than most commanders. What he wasn't used to, or rather, what he refused to tolerate, was being treated like a threat on the one day that should have been about joy. One of the guards reached for his arm. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Touch me, and you'll wish you hadn't." His voice was calm, but it carried like a gunshot. The crowd froze. Then came another voice, low, deliberate, and ice-cold from the back of the room. "You might want to think twice." The 4 SEALs were now walking forward, cutting a path without touching a soul. One of the guards reached for his radio. The SEALs didn't even blink. "That man has more time in combat than everyone here put together," one of them said, standing inches from the nearest guard. "You sure this is the hill you want to die on?" Silence. Then Jason, the graduate himself, stepped out of formation. His eyes were burning. "He's my father." That did it. You could feel the moment crack, the weight of assumption, of years of invisible disrespect, all surfacing at once. The guards looked shaken, but before anyone could speak again, the sound of firm boots echoed from the back. The base commander stormed in, face tight with restrained rage. "Stand! Down!" The guards stiffened. The SEALs didn't move. The commander approached Marcus directly, offered his hand, and said, "Sergeant Carter, I'm sorry. We won't begin until you're seated where you belong." But Marcus didn't take his hand. He looked past the commander, at his son, and the pain in Jason's face mirrored his own. Because no apology could erase what had just happened, the assumption that he didn't belong, even here, after all he'd given. And then, Jason saluted him, before the ceremony, before the anthem, before anything official began. He turned in full uniform, looked his father dead in the eyes, and gave him the first salute of the day. The room fell completely still. Marcus blinked hard. The SEALs straightened. The commander's hand slowly lowered. Because in that moment, everyone understood. This wasn't about rank or protocol. This was about respect. When the ceremony finally resumed, Marcus sat front and center. The guards were gone. And when Jason stepped forward to receive his honors, those 4 SEALs stood behind him like a wall. No words, no movement, just loyalty. Because not all battles are fought on the battlefield. Some are fought in silence against invisible enemies, ignorance, prejudice, disrespect. And no one disrespects a Marine's family. Not while his brothers are watching.